Happy day after the Super Bowl, everybody. I'm actually recording this a couple hours after the game, and I have to say, I mean, the game was very good. It was fun. It's a strange penalty at the end, which is always unfortunate for games to end that way, regardless of which side of that you're on, whether it's an intentional league thing or, Philly people just complaining or whatever else. It was pretty nonpartisan bystander here. I was just kind of hanging out for the game. One of the obviously the most interesting parts about the Super Bowl is obviously the halftime show. It's literally like the only time I think these days in modern days where like 100 million people sit down to watch a live concert. So that's always obviously a bit of a spectacle. But one thing that I found was most entertaining is the prop bets you could have put on the halftime show, especially like what color lipstick Rihanna was going to be wearing, what color outfit she was going to be wearing, or what song she was going to play first, whether Drake was going to come out and sing with her, Jay-Z, or even you could even, I'm not even kidding, you could bet on whether she was going to announce that she was pregnant. She didn't announce it, although people pointed out after and it was confirmed that she is pregnant. Anyways, I don't know if we're talking about Rihanna pregnancy, but the best prop bet I saw on there was that you could bet whether she was going to be wearing a bucket hat during her performance or not. Shout out to FanDuel and everybody else offering those types of bets. Super ridiculous, but honestly, I like that. It fits kind of like the DGen lifestyle, and I enjoyed sharing that with my Super Bowl party. I had people over, people that don't really watch football, had them over to watch the Super Bowl, and they got a kick out of that and trying to guess which of those bets would be right. I didn't end up placing any bets on any of that. It was too late by the time I got to those betting lines. They had already closed the books on FanDuel. But besides Rihanna and the Super Bowl, we're kind of at an interesting time in sports right now, right? Because football's done, and football consumes so much of the zeitgeist, so much of the North American sports attention. And over the next little bit, or kind of, true to our core, but more to reinforce it, over the next little while at First Mint, we're going to be focusing more on some of that kind of sports strategy. Again, we kind of have this gaping hole now. What are we going to pay attention to as sports fans? Of course, there's NBA All-Star Game, March Madness, the rest of the NBA season. That's fun. The summer sports are coming, golf, tennis, all that, Tour de France. NHL, if that's your bag, and then of course MLB and a lot of other stuff like Major League Soccer and other leagues out there. But at the First Mint, we're gonna dive into that a little bit more. We've already started doing kind of a weekly open mic with the Real Phil D to talk about kind of different sports projects. And right now, personally, I am very deep in So Rare MLB. I'll tell you right now, I'm holding a bag and hoping to put out some content about that sometime, hopefully this week, and kind of share with you guys what I've learned and kind of some of the stuff that I'm doing to try and understand what their second season is going to sound like. On the NBA front, I guess So Rare has kind of all-star competitions coming along. The LeBron auction ends this week or in a couple days. Top Shot launched their big LeBron thing, and we'll see what they have coming up for their All-Star Game celebration sometime very soon. Over on the UFC fight, we had a fantastic Volkanov fight the other night. I thought that was awesome. I thought I had such a good time watching that fight. And big news from UFC Strike last week where they announced a game that they're going to be building, hopefully launching sometime in Q2 of this year. I doubt the platform is going to do much else before that actually comes out, but at least good to know that one of our favorite kind of collectible platforms actually has something coming up, that they're building something else. And then all the way back on to NFL. Again, NFL All Day is done its first kind of real full season, and I think this is going to be a really crucial off season for the platform as they figure out what they're going to do. Are they going to keep the playbook? Are they going to come up with team leaderboards and find ways to send people to games and have tons of fun like that and really reward fandom? Or again, keep the playbook and up that gamification? Time will tell. We're going to be covering all those types of platforms and more and more on the podcast, and kind of using this platform to kind of do a bit more of like a weekly recap kind of strategy chat. But before we kind of move on to that type of podcast, we still got our interview shows. And today's interview is with Jordan Lyall, who is actually kind of a serial entrepreneur in the space and in life. I didn't really actually know too much about him, although I have worked with him before when we had our partnership with the platform Nifties and we helped drop the Matrix NFTs like back at the end of 2021. We worked with him, although not directly. He was the head of product at that platform and has since moved on to a project called VenturePunk, which is kind of his own, I guess, creative lab. And this is kind of what I wanted to ask him about is what exactly is VenturePunk doing? They've released a few interesting projects, including a really interesting one coming this week called levels.art. And it was through this interview with Jordan that I found out that he's been releasing kind of kooky, wacky, interesting projects this whole time. He's been doing it since all the way back in 2013 when he developed an app where kids could actually call Santa on demand on this app and get linked up with a Santa actor somewhere around the world. Jordan, in my opinion, is a pretty decent, like a good player in, or big player, I guess, in the Web3 space, always kind of working to push stuff. You're also going to hear in this podcast the story of Meme, which was a something that blew up in the DeFi space around mid 2020 that literally started with a tweet from Jordan, but ended up doing millions and millions of dollars of volume on a token that he never intended for it to exist. Like, he didn't really have too much of it. He literally tweeted once and it turned into this real big thing. So listen to my interview and podcast with Jordan Lyall, the founder of VenturePunk, on The First Mint. What's up, everyone? It's LG Doucette, and you're listening to The First Mint, a podcast about Web3, business, and sports. Before we get to the show, a word from our sponsors. Watch, play, earn, redeem. It's that simple in the newest game from Bleacher Report. During NBA on TNT, test your trivia knowledge, and for every correct answer, you can earn BR tokens. BR tokens may unlock future access to limited quantities of real-world and digital assets, which are planned to be made available via an online marketplace. Terms apply. See brw2e.com. Nothing on today's show should be considered financial or trading advice of any kind. Please do your own thorough research and make your own trading decisions. This is not advice. Ladies and gentlemen of The First Mint, we have a return guest. We've only ever had like a handful of return guests, but we have Jordan Lyall from now VenturePunk, formerly from Nifty's, and a few other projects of which I'm sure we will discuss today. Jordan, the first time we met was literally like this on a stream. I had no idea, we were so early. You guys had just released Space Jam. Phil was super excited. Phil was like the Space Jam expert. It was a free claim for everybody, so he was very excited at the time. And that was almost 2 years ago. That's what's crazy actually about Web3 at this point, that it's like I've actually known some of these people like you for almost 2 years, and it's like I've been doing this for over 2 years, which is crazy when you start to see, you know, some of those dates. Even when you think about like Meme, when you did that, it's like that's 2020, like that's 3 years ago, you know. So, but dude, welcome back to The First Mint. It's great to have you.
Oh, thanks, man. It's great to be here. Thanks so much.
So I mean, listen, there's so much we can cover today. And obviously I want to talk about your new venture, VenturePunk, and all the great stuff that's coming out, this week. When people are listening to this, it'll be on the Monday. But let's talk a little bit about you first, man. People always want to know the origin story, know kind of what your background is. So, I mean, listen, there's some really easy questions to answer here. Tell us, like, you know, how you got started in the space.
You know, I was a fan of what was going on with Bitcoin. I was just kind of blown away. Well, all the way back in 2013 is when I first got into Bitcoin. Just kind of on the sidelines. I bought one Bitcoin and just was fascinated with the tech.
How did you
What's
buy the
that?
Bitcoin? How did you buy the Bitcoin? Because I was reading today about people used to get Bitcoins like in the mail and shit like that. So, like, how did you?
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, fortunately, this was like just when Coinbase came around. It was like I was probably
Okay.
like user number 5 or something. Like it was like really, really early. Fortunately, I missed like the Mount Gox, train. If I had been maybe a week earlier, I would have had to go to Mount Gox and might have lost it. But it was crazy. It's fun to kind of recollect and look through old emails and Gmail and see like, wow, I've been busy this last decade. But I was just kind of blown away on the tech. I started getting into altcoins in those early days. Definitely not recommended, especially back then. Uh, I got burned. I lost a lot of money. At the time, for me, it was like a lot of money. So I said, okay, I'm done with crypto. I'm done with blockchain. I'm going to go. I'm gonna go, heal my wounds and uh, move on to something else. But then I, just in case, I always kept like the one Bitcoin because I knew that like as like a FOMO insurance policy, just in case I was going to keep the one Bitcoin. And thankfully I did. And, in 2016, 2017, it was kind of interesting again. I then learned about Ethereum and I said, wow, this is something interesting. As a product guy, as a startup guy, a builder, a founder, I was like, Bitcoin is cool, but with Ethereum, you can actually build on it. You can actually build products, and we can start to, we talked about one day being able to replace banks and build out this financial infrastructure. And that just got me hooked. And this was early 2018. I want to say, actually, we're coming up on the 5 year anniversary. I jumped in full time. So I've been 5 years full time in crypto.
Shit,
And
man.
you mentioned 2 years ago, just like the friends that I've had over the last 5 years, it's so fun. That's why I go to so many conferences because it's just like seeing
Mm,
seeing the buddies that I haven't seen in years.
yeah.
But so my Web 2 company like I had a Web 2 startup
Oh,
that got acquired in 2014, and I left after the earnout in 2018, and then I just said I'm going for it. I need to be full time in crypto. I'm going to be thinking about it, building things nights and weekends. I may as well make it my full time thing. So that's when I made the jump. I joined early crypto startup called Total TOTLE back in early 2018, and they were doing things around dexes, and they were like an early dex aggregator, decentralized exchange. These are the early days, and just kind of built this passion for building in this space. Was only there for a couple of years before I was recruited to Consensus, but yeah, just so much fun back in those early days, pre-hype, really, pre-explosion of NFTs. It was a different time. So fun.
okay. Two questions for you. What was the Web 2 startup that you sold? Congratulations, that's very cool. And also, what was the worst shitcoin altcoin that you bought and like lost money on?
Oh, geez, we're talking like 2014 altcoins, so there's probably only a couple. I can't even remember the name. I can think of some, but I think those are from 2017. I was just dumb, and then there were these mining uh, these mining platforms where you would deposit Bitcoin. They said they would use that to go mine other Bitcoin, and they would pool them. It's your classic Ponzi. It's your classic Ponzi scheme
Yeah.
where they're taking money from previous investors to give it to new investors. Totally fell victim to stuff like that. It was early, like we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
So that was that. Yeah. So my Web 2 startup. It's funny to say Web 2 startup. I mean, it was a startup. We just say it now to differentiate between like a pre-crypto, non-blockchain startup. So yeah, back in 2013, Buddy and I had like a web development agency. We were servicing clients like Panasonic, Public Storage. We were kind of like an outsourced development shop, and we found ourselves building other people's products, other people's dreams and ideas. And it was like, man, it would be fun to build our own ideas. It'd be fun to build our own
Mm.
products. So one day we fired all our clients. Literally overnight, we ended relationships with our clients, and we said we 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 left our job so that we could go start a company. And but like with 6 clients, you have 6 bosses, and that's not fun. Like, let's swing for the fences. We could always find another job.
Shit, man.
So we came up with a short list of ideas. I've
Yeah.
got 2 young kids at home. I talk about risk on. I watched your podcast last week. Like, this was risk on. Like, two toddlers. We're gonna fire all our clients and swing for the fences here. We had a list of like 4 or 5 business ideas that we were gonna start. Number one on that list was, what if you could talk to Santa Claus on your phone, have a live video chat with the big guy himself during the holidays? And that was it. So 2 young kids, as I mentioned, they're the biggest celebrity in a kid's mind is Santa Claus. So we built video chat app for Santa. It was called Hello Santa. and families during the holidays could have a live video chat with Santa Claus himself from the comfort of their own homes. No more going to the mall. They got Santa right there on their phones. This is pre, all this tech, and now there's a bunch of apps that do video calling and sharing. But this was 2013. 10 years ago, we were doing stuff like that. So we did it. We built the Santa app, and we ran for a couple seasons. We were on the Today Show on Christmas morning. We were like, it was crazy. We had dozens of Santa actors all around the world. We built like teleprompters. Uh,
What
like
what do you mean
on the
actors?
website.
Actors? You mean it wasn't
Santa's
Santa? What
helpers.
do you mean? Oh,
Santa's
Santa's
helpers.
helpers. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
There's something about this app that I don't know why it reminds me of chat roulette, but there's something like that was like the time though at the turn of the decade when it was like, okay, we can do like video calls now. And like people were coming up with like the wackiest shit like that.
yeah.
And like chat roulette was like, you're gonna get matched up with like a total rando. But that was like the thing to do. And good on you guys
There,
for
were-
kind of
there
leveraging
were
that. It's a
equally,
fantastic
some
idea.
horror. Yeah, there were some horror stories back then too, of like just weirdos getting connected to Santa dropping the F bomb in front of kids. Like we've got some stories, man. Yeah,
Dude, I love that, man. There's also, so obviously, my brother who we did the show with, and I think we all hung out in New York last
yeah.
time, maybe. Yeah. One of the shows that we still reference now, because like 99% of Phil and I's like relationship is just referencing things from our childhood. And which maybe I assume many siblings are like that, but that's mainly it's like we talk about NFT in our community and then like things from our childhood, and then there's like an extra 1% that's like I don't know, just something like
What
out of
else
the
is there?
current
Yeah,
our own families or something. But yeah, exactly. And one of our absolute favorite shows from our childhood is something called Santa Calls, which was this Canadian show which was like, and this is like 1995 where it's like a studio and Santa's there and he's got his like Mrs. Claus is there, and then there are like puppets, like Muppet type people who are Santa's helpers, and then kids call in from all over Canada and they talk to Santa live on the phone. So they're like, there's like an operator that's like, all right, Santa, next we got like John from New Brunswick. And there's like literally a 3-year-old's voice that's like, hi, Santa, it's John. I want Hot Wheels, and it was, oh man, it was like such a magical show because you're like, and that's like pre YouTube, but it's like kids love
yeah,
watching other kids get presents like that.
for
Even like
sure.
you're saying, I love that analogy. In a kid's mind, Santa is the biggest celebrity. I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. And it's like that show. I always thought had legs to come into the tech world, and it sounds like your app was exactly that thing, right?
Yeah, it probably could have done really well during the pandemic, or people are just home who wanted to go to the mall.
That's true.
It was super early, and what was really cool is that the mom would or the mom or dad would book the call on their phone, and they would enter in all the information about their kid, so that when Santa came on, he knew everything about this kid, their teachers' names, their dogs' names, what they did for fun. Kids' minds were just
Yeah.
blown, and then we'd record the video and make it just like one click post to Facebook. It was magical. It was super fun. So much
Yeah.
fun.
Amazing, man. Also, that's like a precedent to like things like TikTok. Oh my God,
You
what
hear?
was that?
Did you hear that?
Was that your
My
cat?
shelf,
Dog?
my shelf just fell over and my dog got scared.
Oh,
My
oh,
whole
poor
bookshelf
dog.
in the closet just fell over.
Oh my God.
I
Wow, that scared me, man.
impactful.
That's
Yeah.
holy shit.
Play the
Wow.
replay. I would probably like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, I'll edit that to start the whole show.
There
It'll
you
be
go.
like
Yeah. Slow mo.
something exciting happens at one point on the show, just so you know, something scary. No, what I was gonna say is that's like also a precursor to Cameo, right? Cameo, I
Yeah.
thought was like one of the most ingenious things of
Yeah.
like you can pay $50 for like Bret Hart the wrestler to send your friend a birthday message, and that is like the most genius thing anybody's ever come up with. And like it's again, it's like born from that time of like, hey, like people like somebody on demand around the world, whether it's a Santa or a chat roulette or a Bret Hart or whatever. So
Yeah. That way of
that's really
doing it,
cool.
that async way of doing it and doing it quick. We had all that tech. We decided to double down on like the live stuff, even though we had built out like the pre-recorded messages and stuff, and we were talking to some celebrities. I think we could have been like the Cameo before Cameo. We just chose a different direction. We decided to get acquired. So, but it was, yeah, it was super cool.
Dude, I think the Santa thing is way better. I think that that's
Yeah,
that's way because cameos like you go to cameos kind of strange. Like I'm like, who are these, some of these people? Or like,
Z-list
do you want?
celebrities. Yeah,
And some of them are hilarious, right? Like we got a
yeah,
message from like the situation from Jersey Shore for Phil for his birthday, which
yeah.
was comical, and it cost like $100, and that was like really fun. But the Santa part, like that, I could see being like far more like broad use because like kids like the part where Santa is the biggest celebrity for a kid is something that to me really sticks out about that. You know, that's a great business prop for
It
something like
was it
that.
was just
So
fun. A couple seasons where we were like instrumental in like family traditions,
yeah.
and people were like, you know, repeat customers were coming back, and you could see how the kids were growing. You know, a year older. It was yeah, it was fun. And my kids were the guinea pigs, right? They got to test out the app at the time, so they were talking to Santa every day. It wasn't a big deal. They were talking to him all the time.
They go to school
They're
and be
calling
like,
him
I just
grandpa. Yeah,
I had another call with Santa yesterday, you know, like just bragging to their friends, be like,
right.
oh,
Yeah.
what do you need? I'll
I'll
put in
put
a
in a
word with
good
Santa.
word.
I talk to him every night.
He calls me. I don't know.
Yeah, my dad's better than your dad because my dad links me up with Santa every night. I talk to him every. No, forget these stupid letters you've been writing your whole life. You know, like I got
Get
him
with the
on. He's
times.
right
Yeah.
there. Dude, what? So explain to me. This is actually curious for you as an entrepreneur, which clearly you are a serial entrepreneur, whether you want that title or not. What is your like? What do you do as an entrepreneur? Like, are you the product guy? Like, you're just like, okay, like this is the kind of thing you kind of come up with. Like, here's the type of product and how we should shape it so that it kind of goes out there. Are you the business mind? Are you the dev? Or how does that even? How do you even fit into that kind of mix? Because clearly you've had a few different business partners, a lot of different ideas. How do you? How does that start? What do you do?
I love just building, so I tend to just pick up like whatever needs to be done. I do kind of have, a decade plus of like product management experience, so I love creating like consumer products. I, the company that acquired the Santa company was Jib Jab. Many people might be familiar with that early
Yes.
internet
Yeah.
company. Talk about a mix between like the holidays and tech. And while I was there, you know, ran the mobile app, ran the website. So we're talking like millions of users, just kind of being thrust into a product with millions of users. So that's what kind of where I cut my teeth around building consumer products that just delight people. So had a lot of fun with that, and I have a business degree. I know front end. I, last year I finally deployed my own contract and wrote my own contract, my smart contract. But I don't consider myself a developer. I'm more of the. You remember just a couple of weeks ago the meme with Rick Rubin? Do you remember that meme?
Yes,
No,
it's still going
no,
around.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
still
No,
going
no
around. Yeah.
discernible skills at all. I just know what's cool or whatever the meme is. I really
Yeah.
do feel
Yeah.
like that. But I know enough code to like have a conversation with developer. I know enough. Um, I feel like I have an eye for design where I can like organize the layout of an app or a page. But it takes it takes me working with like an awesome designer, awesome developer to get it out the door. I'm really good at like launching like V1 prototypes, proof of concepts. And that's what I've been doing my whole life, really, dating back to when I learned HTML in high school. But like now to have the resources and like the connections to partner with amazing developers and creators and artists to do something special has been amazing.
Man, I think you just came up with like the title for this episode, which is going to be like the Rick Rubin of Web3 or something.
That works, man. There are
I'm going
words.
to Photoshop you into that meme, just add like a
Oh
monster
yeah, please
beard.
do. Flash forward a couple decades. Yeah, that's great.
Just, yeah, I have no skills. I just know what's cool. But that's good. Listen, man, that does apply, especially like, listen, we're talking NFTs, man. It's like you're in the vibe economy, you're in the meme economy. It's like literally that is like the skill set that people pine for, not necessarily as builders like you are, but as like literally traders. It's just like that's like it's not even being able to reading the charts, all that kind of stuff. You see all the speculation on Twitter, be like, here's why this is going to go up or down, and it's like, no, literally, I'm sorry, like maybe if you're talking Bitcoin, but like when it comes to NFTs, it's literally just being able to sort through the thousands of things coming out every day and being like, that one is the one. So
The
that's
best
it's very important.
and it's not really unique to Web3. I mean, it's magnified now, but like the
Mm,
best tech doesn't always win. You know, they always say Betamax was much better than VHS, but like they caught the
mm.
vibe, they caught whatever the right timing or whatever. It's the meme often outweighs the product itself or the tech itself.
How much money have you spent in your life on like Discmans, Walkmans, all that kind of shit, just to end up having Spotify or iTunes in your phone,
you,
right?
you
Like
buy
it's
your favorite cassette, then you buy your favorite CD, and then you buy it on iTunes, and then like you're gonna set aside somewhere. I'm gonna get the vinyl, and then now it's just pull up Spotify. Yeah,
our dad has like he had the most insane vinyl collection when we were kids, and it's something I never even like really realized what these were. I was like discs, whatever, And then at one point he got rid of them all and converted them to CDs. And then at one point he was like, and this is like late. This is like way after like CDs were almost on the way out by the time he finally took the jump. And by that point I was like, no, Dad, like you shouldn't do that. And I was like doing like illegal Napster downloads at the time. And he was like, well, we're never gonna do that. I should get these CDs. And then now it's like movie wise, he spent years like getting all these great DVDs. But for years I've been like, you're gonna get and now he just got Netflix like a year ago, and I'm like, well, here we go. Like those DVDs are gonna be gone soon too. And always a couple years late, but
yeah.
always a fan of like the ownership, anyways, right? He wanted to have them, and I'm sure it's really hard for him to have things only digitally, right? But hey, now we're gonna come out on the other side of that with NFTs, where it's like, oh no, they're actual items as
Well,
well, right? Like they're
yeah, there you
NFTs
go.
and
They're
Web3. It's like, oh, there's
tangible.
actual digital ownership. Like we've gone so far through the worm, like the wormhole of like you don't own anything for real. Everything is like this SaaS product that renews every month to like, oh no, you will actually own stuff now, but it's internet stuff, right? So it's
That's right.
fascinating how that works.
So
Let's
crazy.
talk about. I'd love to learn a little bit more about Meme, which was your kind of like a project that I think really hit a lot of people. I think in early 2020, and honestly, I barely know much about it. It was a little bit before my time, and it's definitely way before most of our current community's time. Tell us about that project, what it was.
You want the long version or the short version or something in
I
between?
I want the exciting version. I want the version that you want to tell, that you think is important, and but don't leave out any gory details.
So, as with a lot of these projects that I launch, it starts with just a stupid, snarky tweet,
Oh
um,
yeah, nice.
and your listeners are probably like, "Well, that's all you tweet." But fair. But no. So this, yeah, it was the summer of 2020. We're in the middle of DeFi summer,
Hmm.
as we call it.
Hmm.
Everybody's yield farming. Everybody's launching contracts, smart contracts. This was like Yearn had just launched. What's the other one? Just like a bunch of like seemingly
It was
degen
like
projects.
Curve,
Curve.
Aave, all
Yeah,
that kind of
all that.
stuff, right? That's what I came into, was like, listen, everything's about DeFi farming tokens. I actually came in through, do you know Pool Together?
Oh
You know
yeah,
Pool Together?
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really close friends with Brendan, the CTO, and he'd been
Great.
telling me for years to come into
Yeah, he's a
the
buddy.
space. So he's the one I was like, you should get in on this. And I looked at DeFi and I was like, I don't. I was like, I'm like an agency guy. Like I make TV commercials. Like this is not. Sure, I'll play in your protocol, but I don't know what's going on.
That segues right into what I was thinking. Because at the time I'm working at Consensus, so the big
That's right.
blockchain company founded by one of the co-founders of Ethereum itself, massive, massive organization, launched MetaMask and Fira, a bunch of. I'm 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 at Consensus, and my job is to help users figure out risk in DeFi. How do brand new users into this DeFi space? This was like really early. We didn't really know what was going on. It's pre-farming. It was really just like I'm gonna go put DAI on Compound and get a small return. But like, how do I know to go to this platform and not that platform with like
Yeah.
lending my DAI? So really starting to think about risk. But that was what I was doing by day. By night, I'm just like pushing stacks of crypto into these yield farming pools and like because experimenting it. What I told myself is that I'm familiarizing myself with the market and I'm but it's just seeing insane returns. So it's like, how do we bridge to the next? How are we going to get How are we going to get the mainstream audience interested in this when it's just so crazy? People are just, someone mints a contract, and because it's from a particular wallet, I think that contract is going to give me, 30,000 X return, whatever, 30,000% returns overnight. People are just pushing millions of dollars into contracts without a UI, sight unseen. So I was dealing with the dichotomy of that, and it was just silly. I posted a tweet that kind of made fun of the current situation. These degen developers, just pushing out whatever. And we need that. We need innovation, but it was like maybe there's some balance of like user safety and education and security and all that. I posted a little tweet called the Degenerator, and it was just like WordPress for like a yield farming protocol. So you click a couple buttons, you pick. This was right after Yam, if your listeners are
Yes,
familiar. So
I
you
am, but
if
yeah.
you're familiar, so you pick a couple drop downs, you select your food emoji, right? Because every good protocol has a food emoji. I just happened to pick the pineapple. Just in my mock-up of this design, I picked the pineapple. I tweeted it out. I thought I'd make a few friends laugh. Tens of thousands of likes, thousands of retweets later. People really resonated with this stupid tweet. It was perfect timing, and then that's another thing. Is like I just my passion, my interest, like tend to be like in line with the current meta. People said, okay, but when can I use this product? Like people really thought it was a real product, and I'm like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose here. I was kind of trying to poke fun at us. Bitcoiners loved it because they love to hate on Ethereum people.
Yeah,
Ethereum people
yeah,
loved
yeah.
it because it was an inside joke. But I'm like, this was like Friday night, middle of the night. I'm like, I should do something with this. Always the opportunist. I launched a Telegram group as one does, and a bunch of people just like jumped in this group just based on this single tweet. And thousands and thousands of people ended up joining this Telegram group. It's still called the Degenerated to this day.
Huh.
But they're like, let's drop a token. And I'm like, you don't understand. The whole point of the joke was that we were going to poke fun at that. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to get involved, but you guys do it, whatever. Somebody jumped in, dropped an ERC20 token. The first, however many people in the Telegram group got an airdrop of this token. I think it was only like 80 people got an airdrop of this token. Instead of calling it the Degenerator, which we almost did, they called it the meme token.
Right.
And all of a sudden we have this meme token and people are going crazy. And, someone's going to call their buddy at CoinGecko to get it listed. Someone's going to create a bunch of liquidity on Uniswap. And I'm like, what did I just do? I attempted, the very thing I set out to destroy, I became. It's like, it just kind of took a mind of its own. And it was this shitcoin, and I didn't want it to turn into this pump and dump tale, right? I didn't want people to get burned. My name was attached to it, a reputation at consensus around risk. So I said, hold on. The the only way I can hope to save this thing is if we give it utility, we turn this into a real project. So we said, okay, what's really memey? What's really interesting right now? There was a spark of NFT interest again. I had minted CryptoKitties in 2017. I'd minted a bunch of things since then, but my focus was on DeFi. But I was like, I feel something's going on in NFTs. Again, this was August of 2020. Everyone's yield farming. There was a few of us. I'm not going to say it was totally my idea. It was just like a bunch of us brainstorming. So we kind of mixed two memes together, which is like, or two things together, which was NFTs and yield farming. What if you could stake this token and earn NFTs for staking? NFTs as rewards. Everybody's staking their NFTs now. Literally every single project I think has some sort of staking platform.
Yeah.
They call it nesting, they call it whatever, but like we
Yes.
were doing stuff like that, 2.5 years ago. And we created these, and talk about meme NFTs. Like 6529 is doing this now, so it is cool to kind of see it come around. But we started making little meme NFTs of like crypto celebrities. So Vitalik was in there, SBF was in there, CZ was like making meme NFTs. And the longer you held, the longer you staked, the more pineapple points you could get. That's what we called them. And then you could redeem them for NFTs. But if you staked the LP token, that represented liquidity on Uniswap for the token itself, then you could earn the legendary collection of these NFTs. We ended up working with artists and doing like legit art drops. We worked with Ferocious back in the day and some other like really cool artists. But it turned it into this crazy thing. I'm still at Consensus at that time, trying to balance it all together. And I'm like, there's something special here. Just to be innovating early days of NFTs, it was just so fun.
What people don't understand too, and this is mainly for people listening, and this is probably like I came in like right after that. So I saw the meme stuff, but it was kind of thing where I'm like, I'm not I don't understand enough of like this whole space. So that's why I was like I was collecting Top Shot because I was like, this is so straightforward. It's cards, but they're videos and it's an NFT. But even the NFT part, I was like, it will take me a while to understand, but these cost $1, so cool. Like I buy my credit card, no problem. I'll do this
Yeah.
for fun. But that was the kind of stuff a little bit beyond me. But as I learned more about that and about meme and then all the other stuff that was coming out, like at the time, like staking your NFT was so like nobody, like even you're saying now everybody does that. It's like you're right. And back then that was like nobody did that. That wasn't like a thing you did. And even when I held some sandbox land at the time, and I think in 2021 they rolled out like stake your land for tokens, and I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like I can put these items in and I'll get this token. Like that's fucking awesome. But again, like that's how novel it was. Where it's like you're right now, like moonbirds like nest them and you get sent like fanny packs and socks and shit like that. Like that's really fun and really great. But back then it was like so not even new. It was so like it was like what do you mean you're gonna do that? Right? It
I
was like
think because
what do you why how does that work? It wasn't
yeah,
even novel. It was just like a
it
new
was
idea.
it was for the most part, I think it was siloed sub communities. You had the DeFi people there that were putting tokens into contracts and staking. You had these artist communities, these collectors communities that were doing one of ones on Super Rare and some of these other early projects. At the time, we were just like one of the first, if not the first, to like, what if we did this and mashed up these DeFi mechanics with NFTs, and it turns out people were into that.
Man, that is so fun. I want to start like a venture punk for sports. I don't know if that's what you're doing. I'm assuming venture punk is kind of like an outlet for you to do like very similar ideas. Would you
Really,
want to talk about
just
some of those ideas? Like
yeah,
just give you some money and a platform to just ship that kind of stuff like all the time. But even now you're getting me thinking, I'm like, man, there's so many hilarious stuff we're doing kind of like, or not doing, but I wish we could be doing in the sports world. Or so, and all the platforms we work with or cover, it's like, well, they're so locked into their licenses of like NBA, NFL. It's like they can't do any, like even if Roham at Dapper wants to do that fun shit, like he can't do that with Top Shot. The NBA is
huh.
like, they can't do like all this create new shit all the time. So it's like somebody's got to do it. You just give me this idea of like, man, like what if we just ran wild with some stupid ideas we had for doing like cool, funny sports NFT, just weird. I don't know what, I don't even know what, but it's like, it feels like that's what our space needs right now is like innovation, right? Because all the projects, it's like either you're so rare and you're playing fantasy, and that's very straightforward, very simple, very very applicable, which is great, or you're everything's just a copy of Top Shot. Like there's only two types of products, or it's a native thing that's like some other blend of, or you're playing like
Yeah,
a mobile game, right? But there's no like nobody's actually just coming up with completely new ideas outside of what already exists. So I feel like we need that in our space a little bit as well. You
yeah.
know?
Venture punk is that for me. It's really just a
Yeah.
vehicle for me to just like have fun, experiment, get some cool people on my team, and then just like build cool stuff with my friends. And enough people thought that was interesting to invest in it. And I honestly, after 5 years in this space, I've launched multiple companies, multiple projects. I was really careful with the launch of Venture Punk to just be like, don't forget what makes you happy. Don't forget the types of innovation and types of products that you want to build. I've done the, hire a big team thing before. I've done the partner with big studio before. What I'm more
Yeah.
interested in is,
Yeah.
yeah, these scrappy things that are just so fun and experimental. I mean, we'll get to it, but I launched raccoons in like 3 days. Like we're able to just like ship. And I was just talking to, I was just talking to Snowfro, and he was just like obviously Art Blocks is doing amazing things, but it's like, man, to be able to just like quickly build and ship and
Just
get stuff out and get feedback, like that's what it's all about.
I think especially right now too, right, Jordan? Like that's the thing is like right now we're in this middle period between big markets, right? We don't know what's going to happen. You got all this regulation kind of, you got the regulation people hovering. Staking is bad now, right? Kraken can't do it anymore since the market's tumbling. But it's like this is the time where it's like you're right, like people like Snowfra and the other like big creators have made it big. It's like they definitely like, man, got this whole business now. We got all the stuff we do, but like it'd be nice to just be back to the scrappy days, right? Because that's where all those ideas, that's where like Squiggles was born out of just
Yeah,
like, this is kind of just a random idea, right? But I love that meme and all that started from like a tweet that you were like, no, this is a joke, and everyone's like, this is the greatest idea we've heard yet, and you're like, it's not real, and but they're like, but that's great, and I feel like that is that I think is like such a tech lesson in general of like the
yeah,
dumbest idea you have is actually probably the product. And that's everyone tries to come up with the smartest idea, but it's actually like sometimes it's like, or almost more like the most primal thing. Like even Facebook was started because he was like, I just want to see which girls are single, and
yeah.
everyone's like, you're a pervert, and he's like, yeah. But what if that was a product? And everyone's like,
That's no,
now
yeah.
that's a product that half the world uses every day, right? And
It's
that's
a
that's how things
yeah.
start.
I'm going to sound like a Silicon bro, but it's a quote from Chris Dixon that says,
Oh yeah,
interesting things start out as a toy or whatever. I just totally
yeah.
mangled that, but anything interesting, starts out as a toy, and I totally believe that. I want to build things that I think are cool, that I think my friends are going to think are cool, and if it flops, that's cool because we're taking shots on goal, and sometimes there are going to be these things where it just like lines up with the current narrative, with like the timing and everything, and like the meme and the vibe and the tech all come together, and yeah, people turn their heads. So
You know what's funny? This is I'm throwing our conversation way off right now by saying this, but it's funny you said shots on goal. I find it funny how many hockey analogies exist in the business world where actually it turns out very few people actually watch hockey. But
I
there's so many like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and even that's in the office perma quote permaculture. There's this whole like Malcolm Gladwell thing of like pull the goalie early, like
yeah,
take risks well before the deadline, like
hockey
all
stick
these
growth.
all
Yeah,
yeah, hockey stick growth. Hockey stick growth is the other one. That's
OG.
it. There's
Yeah.
so many hockey analogies, and yet hockey, like in terms of how many people watch hockey, like way down, way
So I
below
only watch
everything else.
hockey if like the Kings are on in the Stanley Cup Finals. I
Right.
have nothing else to watch. I flip through the channel, which is very rare that you're
True.
flipping, and it
Yeah.
happens to be an interesting like the only time I will watch hockey if it's like the planets align like that. But you're right.
The Kings
So
suck,
many,
man. Listen, the Kings had a couple good years. They won two cups, and like that's it. Like it's pretty like siloed to just those couple
yeah,
years of like
yeah, it's
the
true.
Drew Doughty, Jonathan Quick, prolific years. Actually, this is super random, but here's another idea from the '90s that I thought was so funny, but again, like it's such a stupid idea that they innovated it for hockey broadcasts. I don't know if you ever watched hockey in the '90s on Fox, but
Was it
Fox got the contrast.
follow the puck? Is that where you're
Yes, the
going?
blue
Yeah,
puck.
yeah, yeah.
The blue puck. That was like that's how much they were like, listen, we have this hockey contract now. We're going to put games on Fox, but we did market research, and everybody's like, I can't see the puck. I don't understand what's happening. So they put a chip in the puck that glowed around the puck, and when they'd shoot it, it'd glow red because it was like, oh, it's on fire.
It's like
That was like the stupidest thing, man. But it was like that's how we're going to get
it's like
American
well,
people to watch some
NFL put
sport.
the yellow line, so we're gonna do that. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Like
yellow
NHL
line.
'94 is like next we're gonna see Gretzky's head bleed, and then it'll all be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. There's no NHL NFTs yet. I harass almost on the weekly basis the company that has the contract for NHL NFTs, but it's something that I think the league direly needs, and it's something that has a lot of like nostalgic value for people. Like I think, like even hockey cards are to me like pretty close to baseball cards in terms of like classic things. Also, hockey history, like now hockey's pretty clean, but anything before 10 years ago, like hockey is like a hooligan sport where guys literally beat the shit out of each other. Bare knuckle fighting on ice is
Yeah,
like literally that's like when you think about it now, you're like that's the most insane thing. Like even UFC isn't bare knuckle. But
yeah.
in hockey, it's like, oh, these guys are mad at each other. Yeah, let them fight on ice with knives on their feet, with their bare knuckles. Great.
And then 50 years ago, no helmets, no face mask, no nothing.
No.
They're wearing sweaters out there. Like, yeah,
Sweaters.
something's got to be done. If anybody from the NHL is listening, I'll go build something. As long as I get creative control, we'll build something cool.
They need
LG and
you.
I will do it.
They need you. So yes, that's it. We will. That's a partner. That's First Mint Venture Punk will partner with the NHL to build just whatever. We'll have to come up with the dumbest idea first, Jordan. Like whatever the stupidest thing is for NHL. Like that's what it has to be. Something so silly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's actually. I want to talk a little bit more venture punk because it's funny you told me that your venture that you sold was just calling Santa because the first project on venture punk, at least from what I saw, was Santa FM at Christmas, which was basically you send an NFT to the contract, and
Yeah.
then on Christmas Day you get a random NFT back that some other person submitted, which was awesome.
Just when I think I'm out, Santa pulls me back in, man. Like, honestly, I was sitting on that domain ever since I launched that first company,
Oh, really? Yeah,
Santa.fm. So I'm like,
yeah.
always wanted to do something with this domain. We've been building what we just announced, Levels. We've been building that for a couple months.
Hmm.
But we were going to end 2022. We were going to end the year without shipping anything. And that just didn't sit with me, man. It was like, we got to get something out there. Let's call time out on these other projects and let's ship something in a couple weeks. Again, came up with a bunch of ideas. The one that resonated with the most people was this like white elephant gift exchange where you give an NFT, get an NFT. So to the people would deposit an NFT as long as it was on the approved list of OpenSea, so it wasn't like scam or anything. You'd come back on Christmas morning, and it was this fun opening experience, and you get a new NFT. So that was try to pare it down to something so small but like interesting enough. That was it. It was super cool. Not a revenue opportunity for us, but just a way to kind of get out there, get some users. I don't know if you noticed, but like Christmas Eve night, Snowfro drops in a squiggle to the Santa.fm prize
I didn't
pool.
see that. I
So
didn't see
most of these NFTs are like these garbage, you know, $5 NFTs. Somebody deposited an NFT that was like 0.000 whatever. And Christmas morning, they opened it up and it was a squiggle. I don't know if you can see my squiggle right there, but it was a
that.
squiggle that they opened under the tree. Crazy, right? Insane.
Oh, I love that. I didn't know that. Do you know who the person is? Like, did they ever write in or anything like that?
We
Or they
tried to
just
reach out. It was just like an anon wallet. We tried to track down like a Twitter account, but
do they still have it? Have they sold it? Have they done anything with it?
unfortunately, they flipped it pretty quickly, so we don't
They
get
did.
like a good story out of it. But like, we
Okay.
just made that person's year, right?
Well, good for that. I don't know. I don't know what would be worse. Like somebody who flips it right away and it's like, well, that's nice. Or somebody who like literally has only ever bought a couple NFTs once. They saw your thing randomly. They sent an NFT and never checked their wallet again. Right. And it's just sitting there, which would be cool as well. Right. That'd be a fun story.
That'd be a fun story. Now it's like the provenance of that NFT. Is it worth a little bit more because it went through this process? Would you pay a little bit
Right.
more because it's different than just like other floor squiggle?
The Santa NFT.
Santa effect, yeah.
Oh my God, man, that is so good. Tell me, because by the time people are going to be listening to this on Monday, so let's talk about the levels.art, the Brinkman project that people are going to be able to play. I think on, I guess it'll be Thursday of next week, the 16th.
Yeah, we're launching on the 16th.
Yeah.
And you're right. Yeah, so we just announced this last week, Monday, but it's levels.art. And another kind of crazy idea of like, what if these NFTs are actually playable games?
Yeah.
we've seen some of these things. Some of the art blocks pieces are interactive. There have been other kind of projects like this. There was G Money's Brick Breakers last year or the year before. So I partnered with the guy who developed the Brick Breakers game with G Money. His name is Cyber H49. He's also a punk, and he's developed a bunch of cool things. A lot of projects he's worked on. So we kind of joined forces. He's working on the game itself and the NFT itself, and then VenturePunk is building out the platform and the community and the branding and everything. But this NFT, and there's only going to be 100 of them in this collection. It's called Cloud Poppers, and so it's like Brian Brinkman's interpretation of what asteroids should be in his world, in his head, right? So you got the
Yeah.
classic Brian Brinkman rainbow colored clouds, and instead of shooting asteroids, you're shooting these colorful clouds.
Mhm.
And the gameplay is the same across all 100 things, right? Because we want to compare high scores and everything. But rarity comes into play when we talk about aesthetics. Your spaceship might look different. The sound effects might be different. The background might be different. Combination of all these things, the filters, like it's going to look a little bit different. So like it'll establish like some may be more rare than others.
Mhm.
And anyone can play. This will come later, but we're going to be bringing in high scores where the owner can log their high score to the blockchain, and we can track that across NFTs. We can track that over time. So yeah, we're just trying to think of a bunch of cool things like at this intersection of like gaming and art. I would say it starts with art, and then because it's not like we're building like an on-chain, RPG game or something like that.
Yeah.
Everything that we're building, and the reason why it's like retro 80s style arcade games is because everything's on chain. All the art, all the code for the game, all the high scores will live in a smart contract. So so we're kind of limited in terms of like the the assets that we can put on chain. So
Right.
we're kind of like, I've said that, I've tweeted this before, and it's like constraints lead to creativity because you're forced to be creative. We're forced
Mhm.
to like compress these things down so much that like we have to get creative how we solve some of these problems, and I think
Right.
you end up with something even more creative.
Mm.
So it's going to be really fun. Like Brian is one of my favorite artists, and he's been a buddy of mine in the last couple of years. So to get this will be the first time we get to work together. So I'm really
So
excited.
can you can only play if you buy one of the NFTs, correct?
Everybody can play. Anybody can play.
Everybody can play.
Yeah, you'll be able to
Okay.
play right on our website. You'll be able to play on
Okay.
OpenSea, so you
Anybody can
could
play.
anybody can play it. In this version, that's the goal. We just kind of wanted to get everybody out there, get everybody playing this thing. We've planned out a whole roadmap of phases with like only the owner can play or only the owner can log their high score. But when you think about it and you have these like arcade games out there, and you as a collector, as an owner of these assets, this could be revenue generating
Mhm.
asset because you let other people play it. What if you owned this arcade machine and you put it out there and you charged everybody, you know, zero point zero 0.01
Or
USDC to play the game,
yeah.
and in and I want to play your game. I'm happy to pay that amount, but maybe I could earn rewards, and I'm earning tickets, and then I can go spend
Yeah.
those tickets on different prizes and things like that. This is kind of how it kind of came together. When this is how I've
Mhm.
described, and I haven't done it to this point, but like, what if Art Blocks and Chuck E. Cheese had a baby? That would be that would be levels.art. It's like amazing art, like top tier artists, but like this like arcade economy.
Dude, you're just nothing but great podcast titles.
This
Chuck E. Cheese art blocks, baby. It's like your
folklore.
your analogies are
Yeah.
just fantastic. Your comparisons. You know what's funny is that I'm sure you know Forefront. You
Yeah.
remember Forefront? Like, yeah. So I read a lot of Forefront, and I did, especially back in the day when I was starting. And one of the articles, I can't remember who wrote it, one of the best articles I read on there that helped me understand the kind of like play to earn potential of NFTs, which I'm not sure has quite been hit just yet. Like, I don't know if Axie was exactly that, but was like the idea of the arcade and like the two token system of the arcade, where it's
Yep.
like you pay to play, but then you earn tickets, and the more you play, the more tickets you get. But that lets you buy stuff that is either, that like a, stuff toys and stuff, which is exactly like Chuck E. Cheese, right? Like that's literally what it is. But you want to keep playing the arcade and you want to keep winning the stuff that's there. You don't necessarily need to leave with money, right?
Right.
Like you can just earn fun, cool stuff, or maybe that has utility elsewhere or something like that. But the idea of it, and that's like an analogy I used very early on to explain that to people of like what you can build here is like think about it as like an arcade, like a two token system. Like you buy the tokens, you put them in the game, and then you get the tickets, and that gives you access to more stuff. So that's really cool that you came back all the way around. You're calling it the Art Blocks Chuck E. Cheese place to be. That's super fun, man. And the mechanics, so anybody can play, but we really want to get one of these tokens. There's only 100 of them, and they're going to start Dutch auction at one ETH. Correct?
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Start at one. It'll count down every couple of minutes. It'll drop, a fraction of an ETH. It'll rest at 0.25 ETH.
Got it.
And that's it. Yeah, it's a fun experiment. We have a lot of things planned, to follow on. But like as mentioned, I love just kind of like MVP is like so overused. But like, what's the coolest thing that we could build to test this out? Like, of course, we have all these ideas around things we want to do and prize pools and like all these crazy things. Oh, what if you could put your PFP in the game itself? Like, that's amazing. We want to do all stuff like that. But what's the coolest, smallest thing that we could launch to get just to get data, to get learning, to be like, oh, we have a passionate user base here. Let's double down.
Can I ask you what your thoughts are on Dookie Dash? On like the Bored Apes game, like of the whole like the mechanic of like you need if you had one of the apes or mutant apes, you got the pass, and then you use the pass, you validate your scores. We're kind of in the middle ground right now where they're still validating the scores, and they've got this whole like theatrical poster kind of thing going of all the new experiences that are
Yeah.
coming. We don't know what they are, but they built this whole story. What are your thoughts there around that style of play where it's like and obviously what happened where it's like they ended up like people started hiring the best gamers in the world, the best Fortnite players in the world to come and win for them.
Yeah. It's so funny. Honestly, I've been out of the Yuga ecosystem for a few months now. I sold my ape. I love what they're doing. It's just, you can only be in a couple communities, and like I just decided to just divest. So I only know what I hear from like podcasts like yours and like tweets that make it to the top of my feed. It is super interesting in what they're doing. I love the fact that people are outsourcing, probably in like like horrible security practices, just like handing over. I don't know. Are they handing over keys to these gamers? Like,
They
how is this happening?
they're using Delegate or Warm
Okay.
Wallet
Okay.
to assign but then what's happening is like the score is being inscribed to the wallet that played. So I'm not sure, but then it's not the wallet that owns it. So I'm not actually sure how that's going to work in terms of like prize rewards.
Right.
But yeah, that's like I'm in some discords where people like literally own a lot of apes, and they're like, okay, I've just met these guys. We're gonna get these 10 people to play for us, and like how much? Like I've seen the cost sheet of like, do you want this score, this score, this score? This is how much it costs. So, good for some gamers out there who made some bank playing,
Makes
the
sense.
whole
Yeah.
hockey game for people.
It's like,
It's
yeah,
cool.
these people overseas that are grinding, farming, uh, you know, 20 years ago playing these online games, farming these assets. Like, of course it's going
Skins
to
and
happen
stuff.
now when
Yeah,
the stakes are even higher.
yeah.
That's actually kind of what gave us pause. We were about to launch levels.art with like this high
Mhm.
score component, and we weren't 100% sure that it couldn't be faked or that it couldn't be
Right.
abused. So we decided to ship without it. It was a tough decision, but like
Mm.
you can't play around when it comes to like, especially when you start tying rewards to it and everything. So we decided to keep it simple and bring in high scores later.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, man, it's amazing how yeah people find any edge, anything to
Any
gamify.
loophole? Yeah.
Even like when they launched Dookie Dash, I was like, cool. Like, I wonder if I'll be good at it. And then like a week later, like, oh, like of course they went and hired the best. I never even thought of that, but I guess some people are just like, I guess really, I don't know if innovative is the right word, but resourceful, let's call it,
There you
right?
go.
It's like you
Yeah.
always never underestimate the resourcefulness of like a market maker or like just a market participant, right? To come up with just the most aggressive edge possible for something, right? Can you give us a preview of what else you're working on? Because we got raccoons dropped this past week. I don't know. I don't know if that what that ties into. Clearly, something you guys came up with pretty quick. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that and any kind of glimpses of what else you guys have coming with the couple minutes we have left.
Yeah, sure. So raccoons is another crazy project. So there's a project that I launched last year, the OG raccoons. It was April of last year. I put 100 photos of raccoons on the blockchain. I made them NFTs. They were like public domain photos, and I put them on the blockchain. I said, "Look, it's funny because CCO is in the word raccoon. Isn't that funny? Haha, guys." And this is what I mentioned earlier, where it was the first contract I deployed myself. I didn't use
Right.
Manifold. I didn't use any. I deployed it myself. I just thought it would be a fun exercise to figure out how it's done. This was what we thought was going to be CCO summer. I was really into CCO stuff, and then I launched this collection of 100 photographs of it. I didn't even make the work. It was just like I took public domain photography pictures of raccoons, put them on the blockchain, sold them for like zero point zero 0.08 or whatever. I
Yeah.
think the floor quickly got up to like 4 ETH or something. Um, I just attracted degens, I guess. I don't know what
Oh,
to
they
do.
know. I think. Well, listen, man. After meme and stuff like that, like
I
that's
have
a
to be
that's a kind of
careful.
thing,
I got to be
to
careful.
understand that it's like
Yeah.
people are going to really closely follow whatever you're putting out there and get it just because you're you, right?
Yeah.
Which is cool, but I'm sure is also like kind of insane at the same time.
It is insane. I love shipping stuff, but like now I have to think twice about what I put out there. But I that was what happened last year, right? This year was like, man, I think there's something there. We kind of have a built-in community. There are about 70, 80 holders of this OG raccoon. What if we did it big? This new meta, this new meme of open editions and burn mechanics. It hit me after participating in checks and some of these other burn mechanism, the Nyan Cat, all these cool projects. I was like, man, instead of just burning for another asset, wouldn't it be cool if you could like upgrade your character and have like almost like Pokemon on the blockchain where you start as one character and you can evolve to a new character. You burn two and then you become this new character, right? Like these different
Hmm.
types of characters. And we did it. Like I had the idea like a week and a half ago, and then I mentioned the idea to my buddy Diego Rodriguez, who's a really amazing illustrator, and he not just in a day or two knocked out these really cool raccoon characters,
Hmm.
and yeah, in just a couple of days we put it all together, threw it up on Manifold, and now just this morning the minting window closed. I anticipated maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000 of these baby raccoon NFTs would be minted. There were like 46,000 baby raccoons minted in 24 hours. And I woke up in the morning and I saw that number climb. Just in the last hour, the amount doubled. People were FOMOing in. And so, anyways, when the mint window closed, the burn window opened. So now, just as of
Right.
8 a.m. this morning, you could burn your baby raccoons, and evolve them into a toddler. And if you get two toddlers, you can burn those and get a teenager. So you're kind of growing your character, evolving. It's becoming this fun thing rather than trading a red NFT for a blue NFT. You're actually
Hmm.
evolving your characters. A little bit more storytelling, a little bit more fun
Yeah.
involved. So yeah, it's fun. It's really early days. Literally, just the burning step started happening just a few hours ago.
Hmm.
A lot of interest. I think it's a CCO project. Using these cool mechanics. I want to open it up to the community, and like there've already been people that have like volunteered to help tell the story, and a
Sure.
bunch of cool
Yeah.
derivatives are already being built. It's just a wild time, man. I know like you said, it's this perfect transitory period in history where like these crazy ideas have legs, and it's really exciting to be in this. Like bull markets are great, but like now is when it's fun to be a builder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm just checking it out. Yeah, people have really gone ham on these. That is so funny. Interesting. I didn't know the burn window was open. I'm gonna go burn some of mine because I mentioned 10. I was very
Burn them
excited.
all.
Uh,
Yeah.
Also, while people are probably very curious about the first raccoon collection you mentioned, so yes, I'm looking at them right now. They are very adorable photos of raccoons, and the floor. There's only one listed, and it's for 2.5 ETH. But there's
Very
122
liquid.
222 ETH volume done so far, but no sales in the last 10 months.
Project was a hit in my, at least in my circle, and
Yeah,
then someone decided to drop the trash token, dollar sign trash, and it was like cool, but now we're back in this like yield farming thing, and it
right.
became less interesting.
Hmm.
And it was just on my mind, like I gotta bring those guys back. I gotta bring them back into the fold here. So yeah,
Very cool. Anything else? Anything else coming up for Venture Punk that you can hint at?
dude, it's been a crazy week. I literally just launched two products, and you want more from me?
Dude,
There's
this is NFTs, man. This is NFTs. This is
yeah,
it was
dude.
like, yes, yes, we always want more. That's what the community does. Doesn't matter the most amazing
So
thing in the world. Be like, what else?
here's
What
some
else do you got?
alpha. I'm going to be building this amazing official NHL uh, project, and we're going to make it happen, dude. We're gonna manifest it. No pun intended. We're gonna put it out there in the world, and Gary Bettman is he still the head of the NHL? He's gonna
Unfortunately, yes.
call us up, and we're gonna get a deal done by the end of the weekend. No, so yeah, so we've got I for the projects we work on, I group them into small, medium, and large. Raccoons
Yeah.
is small-ish, at least when we mint it. It
Okay.
could grow into something bigger. Levels
Yeah.
is like right in our sweet spot of like it's taken maybe a couple months to build. We're also working on like what I would call a large sized project where it's like months of development, could be could be pretty big, you know, make a bigger
Hmm.
splash compared to like some of these toys and these fun things. Um, we're always kind of like juggling and like reprioritizing projects, but I just love generative art so much. I would love to like make a major dent in that space and
Hmm.
provide a lot of value, and I'm such a fan of all the generative stuff, and to be able to like throw my hat in the ring of like on the product side, would be super fun.
I love that. Yeah. Well, definitely. Well, I think we'd love to. I'd love to see you do that, and gonna keep following everything you guys have done, man. That's great.
Thanks, dude. It's great to
Uh,
be back on your podcast. I
oh
just got
yeah, actually, while you're here, can you tell me like what's next for the Space Jam NFTs?
um, I have no idea, to be quite honest. I'm still bag holding, so you might have more
Oh yeah,
contacts
same
over
here.
there.
Oh, I've still got a bunch. Oh yeah, I still have plenty. Hey, that was cool. Listen, man, the free claim on the Space Jam NFTs was awesome, and that went super viral. And it was like if you
Yeah,
share it on Twitter, you get another one. And that was a great freaking idea, man. Like that, so many people collected those.
yeah. No, it was
Yeah.
great timing. It was like when
Yes.
was it like middle? You know, it was middle of
It was
21.
like July. It was July.
Yeah,
Yeah, July
yeah.
2021. Yeah,
Perfect
just as the movie
timing.
came out, just as the movie was about to come out or had just come out or something like that. And
Dude,
I
if
thought
that
that was
movie
just
was
so.
good, then it'd be a different story, don't you think?
It was. I tried to watch it on the plane. It was so bad. I couldn't even do it.
I
And I don't
couldn't
even
I
know.
couldn't
Objectively, I don't even know if the first one's good or not because it's like I watched it when I was like so
it's
impressionable, and also when Jordan was like the biggest freaking thing in the
same.
universe. So it was
Yeah,
like I was
yeah.
like, this is. It's not good, but I'm like, this is amazing at the same
Childhood.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's your childhood, right? So you're just like, I always, it's like a fond memory of that, anyways. And also, like, the first one was like loaded with like Bill Murray's in that movie, you know? And it has
Yeah.
like the guy who plays Newman from
Mi-
Seinfeld is in
Like
that. Like, it was like
Mickey and
oddly
Axel was
stacked.
in that, and like all those '90s basketball players, you know,
Dude,
Mooney
yeah,
Cole and everything.
Chuck is in, yeah,
Yeah,
Barkley,
Chuck.
where he like, I often think about the part where Barkley goes to like play these like children on like a street court and they beat him and they tell him that he's just a lookalike wannabe of Charles Barkley. And that's like, I still think about that where the girl's like, get out of here, wannabe. And he's like, oh, I'm so sad. Like how funny that is. And I feel like the new one, like they just overproduced it. It's like, oh, here's Don Cheadle. He's this evil villain. I'm like,
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's not hitting for me. So, yeah, I don't know.
But
Anyways,
that
dude,
project was fun, man.
Jordan, thank you so much, man. Great to chat with you again, and we'll be watching levels.art this week.
Sweet. Thanks, LG. That was super fun.